Hi, thank you so much for watching my video. I'm Sharon Abaud, immigration attorney. This video is about the U visa and its general requirements and the current processing time. Really quickly first, let's talk about some of the benefits. The main benefit is that it is a pathway to residency. You can become a lawful permanent resident one day through the U visa. So it's not something you're going to have to renew eternally like other benefits we've seen, like TPS, for example. It's something that ultimately will wind you up with lawful permanent residency and then hopefully one day become a citizen. Another great thing about the U visa is that you can help out your family. If you have children, a spouse, parents, siblings that you want to help, of course, always consult with an immigration attorney. See if you can help them, because depending on the ages and your relationship to them, you may or may not be able to help them. And another great thing is that the U visa waives a lot of grounds of inadmissibility that other immigrant visas do not. I'll give you one example. I have a client who came into my office to immigrate through her U.S. citizen spouse, and when I did the general intake, the consultation, I found out that she had actually left the country after having been in the U.S. for more than 1 year legally. She left to go visit a sick parent, and then she returned undocumented again. So that actually triggered what's called a 10-year bar. That means she's going to have to spend 10 years outside. She's going to have to do her interview abroad, and she's going to have to spend 10 years outside before her husband can even file for a waiver. She has kids here, she has a business here, she has her life here. That's not the route she was willing to take. When we talked a little more, I learned that she actually was the victim of domestic violence in a previous relationship, and that she had cooperated with the police and filed a police report and went through with that case. So I talked to her about it. I told her that the U visa was the best route for her because it was the only way we could waive that 10-year bar that she had triggered. So we went the U visa route instead of filing through her U.S. citizen spouse. So let's talk about some of the requirements for a U visa. First, you need to be the victim of a qualifying crime. So not any crime. There's a specific list laid out by Congress that qualifies you for the U visa. So you have to be, some of these crimes include domestic violence, like I talked about, felonious assault, kidnapping, criminal threats, stalking is another one. So if you were a victim of any of these crimes, you may be eligible for the U visa. The other thing is that you need a certificate signed by a law enforcement official. So this can be, they have to be a designated law enforcement agency. So this includes police, the prosecutor, a judge. In cases of child abuse, I've submitted it to the Department of Child and Family Services. So you definitely want to talk to your immigration attorney about the best route, who to ask a certificate from. And it's good to know that the police aren't the only ones, especially in states where they're not obligated to give responses to denials or refusals. And I know in California, it's the police is obligated, if they deny it, to give an explanation for why they're denying it. They can't just deny it because they don't feel like it. Another thing you have to prove with the U visa is cooperation with law enforcement. So in some cases of domestic violence, the victim will return to her her abuser and then drop the charges. That's not cooperation, unfortunately, and we would not be able to file a U visa or obtain a police certificate that way. However, I do get this question a lot. What if I was robbed and the person ran away and the police never found him. I talked to the police. I let them take pictures of my injuries. I answered all their questions. I gave them all of my contact information so they could call me if they needed me to help more, but they just never found him. Does that mean I can't get a certificate or I can't get a U visa? No, it just means that you never said no to cooperating. You always were willing to cooperate, and if the case is still ongoing, you certify that you are willing and able to cooperate in the future when asked to. Another requirement for the U visa is you have to show how you suffered physical, emotional, or psychological damage as a result of the crime. So this will come in the form of a declaration that you sign. It also can be with evidence of pictures or medical reports, letters from maybe witnesses who saw what happened. If you went to counseling, a letter from your counselor or therapist talking about your sessions. Maybe they don't have to talk about what was said exactly, but they can talk about the dates that you went and for what treatment. So that sort of thing can demonstrate evidence of hardship. And you also will want to talk about in your declaration how your suffering will get worse if you are not permitted to stay in the United States. So all of these things are things that an immigration attorney would be able to help you break down and be able to guide you through all of these requirements. You also, especially in cases where you're asking for a waiver because of some, like the immigration violation I talked about earlier, that she left the country to visit a sick parent, you're going to want to show that the good outweighs the bad. That yes, you understand that you violated immigration law and that you understand it's serious and you don't take it lightly, but that you are, that it was, that you're a volunteer at your kid's school, you work hard, you just want to show how much you contribute to society, and that is stronger than what you're asking forgiveness for. So that's a little bit about the U visa. There's so many subtopics about this, and that's why I make a lot of shorter videos about those subtopics. So if you have any questions, please ask me. Maybe it's something I can make a video of to help others answer questions as well. And lastly, let's talk briefly about the processing times and that timeline of the U visa, how it works. So if we were to file a U visa today, with today's date, in a couple weeks you'll probably get your appointment to go take your fingerprints, and then you won't hear from immigration for a while, probably for about 4 years, according to the current timeline. You don't get a work permit during this time. You don't get anything. You get a work permit the moment that your case is approved, okay? Once your case is approved, you don't get a U visa yet. Now you're put on the U visa wait list, because remember, they only give out 10,000 U visas a year. So once you're approved, you're put on the wait list, okay, which is at about 5 years. But the good news is that during this time that you're on the wait list, you're on deferred action, you get a work permit. With that work permit, you can go get your social security number. Yes, it is the same social security number you'll keep later as a resident and as a citizen. So you start your history, your life that way, at least in the meantime, while you wait for your U visa. Once you get your U visa in 5 years, that U visa is going to expire in 4 years, okay? When you have your U visa for 3 years, you can file for your residency. You have to prove that you have been in the U.S. continuously, so you're going to want to save all your evidence of presence in the United States during those years. But you cannot file any later than the 4th year. So it is really, 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 really important that once you get your U visa, that you mark the 3-year anniversary on your calendar, and that you say, I must get working on filing for my residency, because you do not want to file later than the 4th year. You will lose that case and you will lose your ability to become a resident, and you probably will not be able to get that U visa again. So it is very, very, very important. I cannot stress it enough. Well, that is a brief overview of the U visa. again, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help. You can write them in the comments below. You can send me a personal message. I'm always happy to help and to answer your questions. Thank you so much. I'm Sharon Abaud, immigration attorney. Talk to you soon.